Alright, Sagittarians, your June horoscope is starting with the astrology part. If you only want a Twitter, just jump somewhere 7 to 10 minute mark, something like that, because there are a few actually celestial events I want to cover. I would advise that you listen to both, and I'm also kind of finding the shuffling through this is also really helpful. So this particular month is going to be a really strong focus on your home life and on your relationships, right? So transits of your ruler Jupiter suggest that despite a general emphasis on relationships and the other people, it's a very strong month for personal progress, motivation, and determination. It's something that you feel it's almost like a food for you. Very important, right? So take your time before taking on new investments and loans this month, not only because Venus is retrograde until the 25th, but also because Mercury is going to be retrograde in your solar 8th house from the 18th forward, and this is that unknown and hidden and that kind of stuff, right? So negotiations and agreements can figure strongly this month. And there can be some kind of like emotional distance that you're experiencing, maybe even focus on some kind of like past when Venus is in question. Maybe you kind of like had an eye on somebody and now you're kind of like revisiting in your head something that either kind of like left a very special place and holds a very special place in the memory. It could be just yours and nobody else's, or it could be or it just could be that, you know, something really didn't work out, and this could be even you, because we guys know that you're very fast. You're like represented with Knight of Wands in tarot, and that fast motion sometimes, well, you can be fast and detail oriented, let's put it that way. So hence sometimes you just like, leave out details. People notice that, and that could be also sometimes a problem, right? So I really think it's going to be a month which is going to kind of like really have much to do with learning about yourself through interactions with others, and you'll be discovering quite a bit about yourself and also about relationships. Then we also have Mars that is coming here, and that's kind of like bringing animation and energy, and sometimes can even bring agitation to your personal life or family matters. It's going to be like, it's going to be really important until the 27th, I would say. So it's kind of like directing energy into household projects. Maybe you need to kind of like catch something up. Many of us during this pandemic kind of like are doing that. So it's going to be constructive being with family or doing projects. It's going to be satisfying. But I also feel that you might have conflicts with family. But even if you do, they might be valuable too, because you will need to revisit something about them that is going to maybe even save or even renew or revive your relationship, right? Whether this is with your parents or with a spouse or with sister, brother, kind of a thing, right? If you start being too busy, because I guess you're really tired of like everything kind of like moving very, very slow, maybe you feel overly stimulated, right? Maybe you said to yourself, okay, you know what, it's crap, but I'm going to make the best out of it. When life gives you lemons, make it into lemonade. So you maybe wanted to make it in a staycation. You wanted to say, hey, what about me? I can like sort of like take some rest. So, but everything is like basically almost like universe is almost like conspiring that you really need to work on new understanding of your relationship needs, right? So this early June is going to really help you with lots of revelations, and you will gain further insight into some old problems, as I said, or reconnecting with somebody from your past, right? But if you do that, it's going to be a completely new approach. So it is a time to set intentions and goals that better reflect your redefined wants and needs and expectation of the others, right? So you might be really thinking that you're not getting satisfaction in a relationship, and you're going to address it, or can be a kind of like feeling of some kind of like limbo during this, which if that's the case, you will really need to get yourself out of that funk, or you're going to feel like gosh, like, why do I kind of like fall into that? Like, I need to get, like, and then you feel like, let me kind of like throw away all this kind of like freaking mud that fell on me. So 25th is going to be crucial day. So almost like the whole freaking entire month is going to be like really slow for us, right? And Mercury turns retrograde a week before Venus ends its retrograde, so that's why it's kind of like slowing everything down. Like you want to get out, but it's, oh, where are my keys? Where is this? Kind of like that kind of feeling, right? So today we have lunar eclipse, and it is in your sign, so it's starting like really affecting, like directly in this like upcoming 2 years. So you will be exploring independence and interdependence issues, possibly even codependence. If it is codependence, you will be let me kind of like try to see how do I shift it. So codependence is actually really easy to stop. It is like simple as saying no. But saying no and meaning it, and saying no and suffering through it, are two very different psychological approaches, right? So you'll be really looking into this, because this eclipse can bring a personal matter to a head. So it might be full of contradiction, and it's really time to understand, like that there is a need for positive change, right? So with the emphasis on the relationship, it is something that you have been already working on. Your sign and some other 2 signs, Aquarius and Scorpio, I've seen dancing around these lines. And if you really look back, you're a very different person than who you were, let's say, a couple of years ago. So I don't know, if for example you're the one who have been attending to others' needs at the expense of your own, you're going to be finding balance, right? So hence you're going to say, well, this is not in balance, I have to kind of like put it in balance, or something like that. Or you might have some kind of like internal unrest to kind of like find that emotional truth and kind of like come to some kind of conclusions. It's going to be really interesting. And typically sometimes when you're nervous, like being accused that you're devil's advocate or that you're bickering, but I really think it's going to be more or less thinking if you want to put your faith into someone. So the month, often is going to kind of like feel it's holding you back. It's going to be asking you to wait and slow down. It will hold some easy energy for some kind of like home and family related projects, right? So enthusiasm is going to be really, really high, especially when it comes to personal possessions. Something that is improving your safety and security will be most appealing, whether this is just putting antivirus on your phone and on your computer, or kind of like installing the new Ring thing or something like that. So when we go into Cancer on the 20th, and basically that's when the sun enters your intimacy sector on the 20th, and the solar eclipse occurs in that part of your chart the next day, 21st, which is like summer solstice, or winter solstice in the south. So you may experience setback or a feeling of discontent before like these things turn around positively, but this is like again another sign, another thing you need to turn over a new leaf. So the weeks ahead of this eclipse are powerful for making a lifestyle change or ending that codependency, something unhealthy. It almost looks like you'll be that proverbial philosopher sitting somewhere like the hermit, and finally kind of like you kind of like get it. Ooh, this is what I need to do, right? Some kind of like resolving a long-standing problem with sharing money or love. So it's going to be really interesting. Also, if you're working on some kind of like investing, it's a tricky during Mercury retrograde, but it's going to be lots of opportunities that will be kind of like coming up. So when Mars enters your solar 5th house on the 27th, so that's the house of dating, of friendship, that's kind of like turn the corner for you. You'll be more confident, you'll be involved, you'll be very spirited, and Mars will kind of like stick around for many, many months. So during the cycle, you're likely to pour a lot of energy, initiative into pursuit of rewards in life, because you're like all about this Knight of Wands. You're all about, I want to find out, and this travel, and like I want to see, like, and if this travel cannot be in a foreign country because this kind of like foreign kind of like attracts you a lot, you will be really attracted to foreigners. If you cannot find anyone where you live, Then you'll be talking to people about their heritage and their background. If you can't find that, I'm pretty sure you'll be like surfing YouTube channels and going on one of those virtual tours. So in the last few days of June, you'll finally be able to successfully channel your energy into creative or productive pursuits. So that's going to be a great time to apply yourself to really important kind of like work in progress. So you'll have like really more influence and like more persuasive power, like something that you can kind of like persuade someone than usual. So if you're feeling more ambitious and more confident, this is like basically when finally it's like sitting and coming in place. So you'll be ready to pour more energy into building your talents and resources. So let's see now what we have in tarot. So you have the Emperor reversed, and that kind of like makes sense. And look at that, you also have this bickering as 5 of fire or 5 of wands reversed. So the Emperor is really talking, and look at this, it's like forming 9, right? So 9 means, okay, it's coming to a head, it is done, cycle is done, whatever it is. And how do we know cycle is done? Either we fly, like we get something done with flying colors and we are feeling yay, 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 yay. But usually that kind of like feeling doesn't last very much. It's kind of a good feeling when somebody calls you and say you got a job, or you know, got a promotion, or you know, like you have enrolled to a certain university, like whatever, or something really new, or somebody kneels down on their knee and this is like all that you wanted, that kind of stuff. But how do you know it's not going well? It's like when certain things should be going well, and in spite of the law, everybody's telling you, like it's just like freaking wall. That's what this Emperor card reverse really talks about. The Emperor reverse talks about that somebody is almost like purposely affecting your lack of stability, and that kind of goes back to this bickering, and that will go back to you seeking what you need to find in your relationships and how you need to deal with that. And that's going to be kind of important, right? Again, relationships. 8 of fire is called arrows of love, and look at those zoomies over here. It's kind of like you're urging, you cannot sit still anymore, you're feeling like a little dynamo, and you're going to find yourself busy, as it said to you, like you're going to, if nothing else, turn to lots of home projects. And there is the Empress that is also reversed, very much like her male counterpart. So that means that you'll be off both in your divine masculine and divine feminine. And that's really not bad. Like this is almost like somebody pulls your engine apart, so everything is breaking off because it needs to be placed properly together. So Sky Queen, and this is kind of like that analytical approach, maybe a little bit brash, maybe a little bit cold, maybe a little bit too analytical, or maybe there is like this woman that you have in the past who kind of had this approach and who maybe you felt kind of like looked above on you. And since in your readings I generally always see third party, I'm again seeing this, that this could be a mother, this could be your wife, this could be your nurturing home kind of like situation, but there is also someone else. And there is like maybe some situation, some love situation, something that have evolved really, really fast that kind of like destabilized your life. Maybe finally you're pulling it together, maybe you're finally stabilizing. There was like some kind of sadness. Somebody walked away, somebody felt really embarrassed in the situation, something kind of like went out of proportion and it just couldn't work properly. Because look at this, we have 8 and 3, which is 12. That's the energy of the hangman, where you really need to spend time and think from somebody else's perspective. Sometimes it's hard because you're knight and you cannot ride that horse upside down because that would not take you anywhere. So hence, unfortunately, it's kind of contraindication for being Knight of Wands. It's kind of like something that is pushing you in a situation where you kind of like need to learn how to be introspective. That's kind of like putting it kindly. So summary, sometimes you're not introspective, sometimes you get in a poo-poo with the other people that tell you like, what the heck were you thinking, and so on and so forth. This is kind of like one of those things that you're sad about something that has been versus being happy about something that is, right? So what did I miss here? Oh, the top card, the Ace of Fire, and again something from the freaking past. To me, this is almost like always, yeah, should be reigniting your own self. Could be like, hey, I kind of like fell in that limbo, as I said, and now I need to be that energizer bunny. I need to get out. But this also means sometimes maybe you just drop by and say hi, or you see something on Facebook, or what is it, June, so we are talking about graduations and that kind of stuff, and maybe this is kind of like that sort of things happening, and then somebody pops up and you are revisiting. So that to me is kind of like Mercury retrograde, and I think this is going to be around the 19th for you. There's going to be lots of really interesting conversations. Immediately ahead of you, like, you also have very strong Aquarius, you have very strong Libra, Taurus, and Aries showing up. So this could be Aquarius or Libra. Sorry, pardon me, Aquarius or Leo showing up, because look at how lovely card this is. She's really looking up in the stars, and she's saying, I need to follow this because I belong to this lion world. But when this reverses, you kind of like become gloomy. You get into this funk, as I said. You're saying, well, no, nothing gets better. Well, this is exactly what I said. You need to kind of like get that mud of you when you're in that limbo and say, well, this time this may be redefined. This is a really, really good attitude, because I really think, because Sky Queen is also Aquarius and this is Aquarius, they're mirroring each other. They're really connecting. So it's very, very important. Emotionally, you're over something, but you're still embarrassed over something. It was like maybe something where you needed to react emotionally. Somebody expected that, and you haven't. You reacted with speed because that's your forte. It's just saying the wrong thing at the wrong time, and it's like not much that you can say, and something just freaking collapsed. So your own house is the Lovers. Could be Gemini, but it could be this lovey-dovey thing. And in this particular deck, we do not see interference. We do not see, usually in the regular Rider-Waite decks, we see an angel. An angel is always whispering in the fool's ear, saying, hey, are you sure you want to stay here? I know that woman is beautiful, but you should just move on and learn so much more. You can always go back. I don't see it here. I see there is like cozy. You're like happy where you are. So maybe you are with someone who is oriented. So for example, if you're a male, you might be with a woman who is very kid oriented, and you love that about her, because the Empress is really loving, but she's reversed, and it's almost like that somebody is highlighting their own virtue about the kid upbringing, and you're saying, well, that's all cool, but that's kind of like one small part of being a human, whatnot. You really want to be a lover kind of a thing, right? And my camera, what do you call it, tripod, broke, so I am making it makeshift until I unpack somewhere my new one. So let's see your environment. Ooh, the Wheel. This is karmic card, and it's coming in your environment. So guys, if you haven't get your karma reading with me, I suggest you do. I cannot say it's fun, but it's like your Akashic reading. It's reading about, it's kind of like everything, your past life. It doesn't go in a huge depth in a past life, but it shows you what you brought from the past life to this life, to what you're working on right now, and what you really will be working on in the future. I mean, sometimes it's going to be all there is, and some people repeat this karma reading every 6 months to see if they have pushed this along, because this is like what is it saying. So sometimes we write into our karma other people, and I think you wrote somebody here that is appearing from the past. It was somebody in the past who was like highly destabilizing. You had situation, everything seemed to be fine, but it wasn't fine. It wasn't fine for you. Other people would say on the outside, well, it looks like you have everything together. No, I really don't. I'm really not happy with this. So look at the kitty. We know, like, when they get into this frenzy, and you had this, like, also 8 of fire, plus this is ruled with Jupiter, and Jupiter is like ruling luck, and it can be up or can be down. Whenever you're on top of the world, like, the only way to go is down. When you're on the bottom of the world, the only way to go is up. So they have, like, the advantages. So in the karma reading, you see the people who are written in the chart. And this is like what people call twin flame or karmic soulmates, because they're supposed to be there. They're like supposed to kind of like push you to kind of like learn something. And because this is all about relationships, you really look at this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 majors. Tarot has major arcanas. There are only 22 major arcanas. There are like 78 cards. So just think about, so let's say this much will be the major arcana, this will be so much left over. So this kind of like puts it in perspective how important this is, because major arcanas are not negotiable. This is kind of like boss tells you to do, and you know they're serious. Except if you don't do it with your boss, you might lose your job, and here you might even lose your life, because this is almost like universe, God, whatever is your belief system, kind of like stepping in. So your hopes and fears as far king as you want to find yourself, you want to revisit yourself. You might be dealing with a Leo, and it's kind of like really interesting that you have the Sky Queen and the Fire Queen. It is like maybe you have somebody who has the air sign, very strong air sign with them, and you really want to be there for them, like everything. Or maybe you have been that already, because when it comes to karmic, the wheel keeps spinning. So this future becomes the past, and past becomes the future. It's kind of complicated when you say it, but it's really not. Because if you really think about it, how many people we meet that we have similar issues, whether this is, I don't know, cheating, or they kind of like their shoe that doesn't fit properly, you know, Cinderella story. These are all archetypal imageries, and it's very important to understand that, like, I mean, right now you're saying I can do better, I need to, because this is the beginning of the fire suit, this is the end. So pow, everything. And of course, who would have that ambition but you? Interestingly enough, that the Lover's card is showing up here in your house, which is the opposite of your sign, and it does make sense because of all these retrogrades we are going through. So Venus is retrograde. This is to me emphasizing this, as I said. So if you just jump through, kind of please go and check your astrology as well. And then you have Sea Queen. Holy moly, boy, you have people around you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You have a whole bunch of choices. You have a whole bunch of people, a whole bunch of things showing up, popping up from the past, wondering what to do. So you're like the proverbial lover, you're a proverbial explorer. You kind of like have a love in every city, in every country. And this is not like, you're not necessarily you're not Casanova. You're not doing that so you can put a notch. You're doing that because that's the exploration of people. So it's this month, even though it's going to be lots of people who will be maybe converging, not that they are kind of like colluding, they might not even know each other, but so many things will be happening that you'll go, how's this even possible? What is the statistical probability of all of that? And the card that you got here is discernment, right? It's again deciding where do you go and how do you go and what is important and who do you want to be loyal to. So I really think the answer, if you didn't think of the first answer, I have to be true to myself, you need to rethink, you need to re-listen to this reading. Be very cautious, because it's going to be only one people out of many that will be culminating in your life that is going to push you into some thinking process, into redefining who you are and pushing you to excel who you really are. You might also have a Scorpio in your life who is very prominent, if so is the case in your chart, and that is also very important, because look at this, all of these figures other than this dude are up, but these guys are down. And that is really telling me The Mercury retrograde, Mercury really would be my magician. The magician didn't show up. But so how you want to stabilize, what kind of life you want to do, almost like you might even throw out a whole bunch of things, kind of like this mass cleaning and say, I'm starting over. I need to go over. I need to go in this new direction. So Sagis, this is all that I have for you this month. If messages resonated with you, this is because they are meant to be sent to you. So please subscribe, because you'll be getting more of these. And lastly, guys, if you want everything to resonate, contact me for a private reading. And in your case, karma reading is kind of like almost universally recommended over here, especially when you get this particular karma card, even though I have 4. So love you guys. I'll talk to you soon, and till later. Bye.